Those are the main ways that the diabetes affects the heart. So what do you do about that? Well, number one, you gotta fix the initial problem, and that is to repair your metabolism so that you can burn energy properly and use it the way the nerves need. They have to get theirs. The blood vessels have to get theirs. They have to be able to repair. And actually, the damage that's done is mostly reversible.
We're good to go. Good morning, good afternoon. How is everyone today? Welcome to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. Dr. Saunders and I are here today to chat about how type 2 diabetes affects the heart. And so this is a topic that comes up a lot. We have a lot of questions about the heart, and obviously the heart is very important. So I said, we need to talk about this. What's going on? What do we need to know? And get your questions. See what you guys have to say about this stuff. If you're experiencing these things or how you're doing, that's kind of the best part of the webinar, is hearing from you. Not that Dr. Saunders' teaching isn't good, because it is, but it is fun to see what's going on with you guys. That's why we do these webinars, right? We want to hear from you, and we want to make sure that you are on the best possible path to good health. So I think we are on episode 163, 4, maybe even. So we've been doing this for a while, and I think I say that every time, but I'm always just like, every webinar, I learn more and more. In fact, I was just chatting. Oh, Joe is joining us. Yay. I was just chatting with one of the participants, or one of the viewers here on the webinar this week, and we were just laughing about how every single webinar we're still learning. We've done this for 160 plus webinars, and it's still shocking, revelatory things that are revealed to us on the webinar. So it's just so fun. Okay, so we have Joe and Amanda in the car, and it might cut out, but they are returning home from quite a trip. I don't even know all the details. I've seen a few pictures on social media. It looked terrible. It looked awful. I don't think they had any fun. I don't think they saw anything cool. But
can you hear us?
I can hear you. We can hear you.
All right. Yeah, we are back from Italy. Just landed in Minneapolis, and now we get to drive home for 4 hours, hopefully. So, buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
Oh, man, I just started learning Spanish. I'm not ready for Italian.
It's close.
That's how I felt.
Okay. That's awesome,
Good to be
though.
here. I think I haven't been here for like a month. So, you guys been okay without me?
Well, we'll let the viewers chime in on that one.
Yeah,
I think
really
we've been
curious.
okay. I think we've been okay. We're still learning a lot. Dr. Saunders is still teaching. And man, we've had some really good questions come in. We've had a lot of new people hopping on the webinar, which is wonderful. For those of you who are new, hello. You've joined the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. Hopefully you know that. But many of you have purchased the Diabetes Solution Kit, which is what we reference often in our book, or in our webinars. And so this is the book that we're talking about. I'm going to change my view here so that you guys can see, hopefully me. But this is the book that we talk about, and you'll hear it referenced. You can find that at bartonwebinar.com. And so we'll chat about that a little bit. We're going to take some of your questions. We're going to do some teaching from Dr. Saunders like we do each week. And we're just excited that you guys are here. Feel free to comment. You know what? I bet the chat is disabled. Yep. It's making me change it every time. And sometimes I get so excited and I forget to do it, to enable it. I'm sorry. So let me do that quick. But after I get the chat enabled, you guys can say hello there. If you are new, comment there, let us know. Otherwise, we'll post our questions in the Q&A. And I actually have some questions for Dr. Saunders too. We have some things that have come up in some of the chats that I've been doing with some of you. And so I'm excited to ask about those. But while I'm doing some of this background stuff, let's go ahead and get started with the disclaimer, Dr. Saunders, and then you can just move right on into any teaching that you want to share with us about the effects of type 2 on the heart.
Okay, so the reason we do this is for general information. If you're trying to follow a book and it's not working for you, where do you go? Where do you go to get information? So we have this webinar. We thought, well, that's a good idea. We could just do webinars so people who are doing the book and they're having issues, they can hop on the webinar and just ask questions. Then we decided, after a while of doing it, we thought, what we really need is to add in some information, because not everybody knows what questions to ask. How do you know what questions to ask? And then some things never come up. Some things come up frequently. And so what about neuropathy? How does that happen? What about heart disease? How does that happen? And well, I never thought to ask that. But now that I know that, I shouldn't be eating stevia because that can make my insulin go up and cause me to gain weight and get more insulin resistance, those kinds of things. Remember one thing, that all of the information that we do here is just general information. And it applies to like a group of people or a certain group of people. And it's important that you apply it properly to yourself. And that may require that you get some more information from an expert like a doctor or a practitioner or something. So having said that, today we want to add in some information to you about the heart disease. How does diabetes type 2 specifically affect the heart? And there are some very important things that we have to understand. And that is, first of all, that the problem is metabolic. What does metabolic means? Meta means like all over. Bolic is the chemical reaction. So it's all of your chemical reactions that are going on in your body. And we often look at that as, okay, that's energy. So it's because you're using energy to do all of these reactions, and you're using energy to move and do stuff, and that's your metabolism, right? Diabetes affects the metabolism of every cell in your body, every cell. Some cells are toxic because the cell itself is a completely self-enclosed individual. Each cell is individual and separate. And these aren't like working together and talking to each other. They do talk to each other, but more like as neighbors. So you have your house, your neighbor has their house. One liver cell they have their cell, and then the next door neighbor has a cell, and they're completely separate cells. So one of them might be toxic on sugar. It's bringing sugar in, and it's just too much. And when it gets too much, it can actually break open and create what we call fatty liver disease. The other cell right next door is just fine. No, we're good. We didn't take in too much. We're not toxic. We're okay. And so each cell is separately doing all this. So your insulin resistance can go up and down. Why is that important for the heart? Because the heart can't store any energy at all. Zero, none. There's no storage. 40% of your heart is mitochondria. Mitochondria are little bacteria. It's so amazing when you think about it. A cell, okay, let's say just enlarge a heart cell to this big. Mitochondria are this big compared to it. And there are thousands of them in one heart cell, because they're making all the energy. They're creating this, what's called ATP energy, so that the heart can contract and then relax and then contract and then relax and then contract and relax. And it's going back and forth like this. How often? Well, once a day, twice a day? No, 1,000,000 times a day. And so if you have that going on constantly, you have to have enough mitochondria continually pumping out energy. Your other muscles might have 100 mitochondria. What does that mean? Well, you can pump iron. Oh, 2, 3. I can't do another one. Why? Because you've run out of energy. That's why you've used up all your energy in there and you've run out of energy. The heart can't do that. The heart can't run out of energy and stop. There's no rest for the weary, right? For the heart. So all of that is to say, what does diabetes do to the heart? Well, it limits the amount of energy that it can use. So there's something called insulin resistance. Now, the heart cells don't need insulin to get sugar into the cell. But what happens over time is the ability for other cells around it. So, for example, the nerve cells, they have a blood-brain barrier. They have a nerve barrier that doesn't allow energy, and they have to actively bring sugar in. And so the nerves stop working. So your heart's still beating just fine, but it's not regulating properly. And you end up with other problems like arrhythmias. The heart doesn't beat regularly. It starts getting irregular, and then you can get atrial fibrillation. So if any of you have atrial fibrillation or other types of abnormal beats, it's not beating on a regular basis, that's often from the nervous system disorder that's happening from diabetes. So diabetes is still affecting the heart, even though your heart cells, the actual cells, don't require insulin to get the sugar into them. Moreover, having the sugar high for a long period of time causes injury to the heart cells themselves, the muscle cells themselves, by not allowing sugar to cross through. No, well, that's more for the nerves. But the nervous system is controlling the heart, right? Your autonomic nervous system is controlling the heart, and then you have the other issue is when your blood sugar is high and your insulin resistance is high, then you can't use fat for energy. So all the fat that you eat just gets built up in your blood, and you get all these triglycerides in your blood. So some of this fat deposits in your arteries, and well, the problem really is that you don't repair the damage to the lining of the blood vessels. The lining of the blood vessels is very important, called the glycocalyx, and it doesn't repair. So you have all these triglycerides in there. You can't repair the lining because you don't have the proper tools. The blood sugar's too high. It's doing damage. And so the heart is getting less and less blood flow. And that means less oxygen and less sugar and less nutrients and amino acids and all the things that those mitochondria need, that 40% of the cell needs to keep that heart pumping a lot. So diabetes has multiple effects on the heart, and it causes heart disease, or is definitely related. People with diabetes often have heart disease for multiple reasons, for reasons of the nervous system isn't working right, and then reasons of lack of blood flow because of clogging of the arteries. So those are the main ways that the diabetes affects the heart. So what do you do about that? Well, number one, you got to fix the initial problem, and that is to repair your metabolism so that you can burn energy properly and use it the way the nerves need. They have to get theirs. The blood vessels have to get theirs. They have to be able to repair. And actually, the damage that's done is mostly reversible. Sometimes there's permanent damage done and it's not reversible. But arteries that are clogged can unclog. And that's been proven in several studies. So So the idea is to get your blood sugar normal, and the medications don't help, by the way. I actually had somebody, I gotta tell you that I had a cardiologist yelling at me because I had a guy that had diabetes, and he had chest pain, and they did an angiogram and they put a stent in, and then he had more chest pain and they put a second stent in, and they put him on a higher dose of statin, and then they put another. He had more chest pain. They put another stent in, a higher dose of statin, higher. So he keeps going up on the dose of statins, and he keeps getting more chest pain. So we did some studies and found out that his problem wasn't a cholesterol problem. The statin wasn't doing anything. It was an inflammatory problem. So I took him off the statins, and the cardiologist got really upset about that. So you have to be careful, talk to your cardiologist. They sometimes get kind of upset about people, other doctors taking you off the medications that they give you, kind of thing. I don't know. There's a territorial thing there.
This is such good information. What I'm hearing, and I hear this repeatedly, there's never a reason to not get your body healthy, right? It affects everything. And so what you teach is really important. And if we have someone new, maybe they somehow stumbled upon this webinar, well, that'd be kind of hard to do, but maybe they're on Facebook, I guess. And maybe they've just found out they have type 2, or they think they might be pre-diabetic, or maybe they just purchased the Diabetes Solution Kit and they've heard you say, okay, I need to take care of my blood sugars. What would be a quick overview of the goal, I guess, of the Diabetes Solution Kit? How do we do it?
Oh, okay. So it's a simple detox program. As an overview, like I said, the cells get full of sugar and then they block the insulin receptors. So then that's called insulin resistance. So that needs to go away. And if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. You have this cell full of sugar. What are you going to do? Well, you got to use up the sugar, number one. And then number two, you got to stop putting more sugar into it. And so that's what we do. That's what the detox essentially is. So you start the Diabetes Solution Kit, and you read in there, and you go through all of what's your why. And we ask you all these questions about the emotional eating part, and all this other stuff that's actually really important. You'll find out later as you start trying to change, because we were talking about this on another episode. In questionnaires, it's easier for people to change their religion than their diet. And so we ask a lot of questions about, why and how and what's your motivation, and why are you doing this, so that you can say, okay, I need this to be healthy. I need change. And so then you're willing to change. And then you go into the next section, which is just your detox. That's all it is. You're going off sugar. Why? Well, because your cells are packed with sugar, and you got to get rid of all that excess sugar. So it's a simple detox. You're not you're eating, 20 grams of sugar a day. So it's essentially a ketogenic diet. Ideally, though, it's not the ketogenic diet that you're going to have a lot of fat. You're not going to have a bacon, sausage, cheese omelet with cream. Like, who was it? The Atkins diet. There was someone that was eating that one time, and I'm like, really? You eat that? And they're like, yeah, it's great.
Yep, it is good.
Yeah. So so there's a lot of free foods in there, and we put those in there, so hoping that people will use the free foods freely and eat a lot of broccoli and cabbage and lettuce and cauliflower and spinach and all of that stuff, so that you have a good high quality meal.
All right, such good information. I'm going to get into some of these questions because some of these have they tie into what you're teaching here. I love this. Joseph said, whose phone is ringing? So Dr. Saunders, he's a real doctor. He actually, and today, where are you today?
I'm in Santa Barbara.
And so you'll sometimes, actually, your phone doesn't ring very often. I'm surprised I did hear it today. But he actually does see patients. And so he takes this hour break to do the webinar with us. And so he actually is in an office where the phone is ringing, and then he goes back and sees his patients. So that's whose phone is ringing. Yeah. I love it. This is good. Okay. Catherine says, I appreciate you and all the good information. Okay. First of all, let's see. Timothy says, hi, I'm on and was on last week. Switched to a low carb diet, and my sugar readings 2 to 3 hours after eating are consistently between 103 and 106 instead of 145 to 170. Thanks so much. Morning sugar is still running between 122 and 135, but I've also lost 5 pounds. So I am thrilled. That is awesome, Timothy.
Awesome. You're on the way. Keep going.
Yes. Can you email me? I'd love to chat more about that. Leslie@bartonpublishing.com. Okay. And then I like this. It says, tell the cardiologist to go suck wind. That was from your story. And then he says, your stuff works. Remember the rule of medicine. Number 1, always use the least invasive thing first. Like, duh.
That's a good rule. That rule will keep you alive a lot more than you suspect.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you. Okay. Dr. Jonathan Lockwood says, just following up from my last week post where I reported that my A1C was at 7.1 as of August 12th. To recap, I'm now taking 500 milligrams of metformin daily, along with 11 units of insulin. My endocrinologist cannot see me until January 18th, but I intend to have my next A1C done in mid-November. I'm taking Synachroma and Nervala twice a day, along with plant-based vitamin supplements and maintaining a low-carb diet. What do you recommend in the event that my next A1C shows me below 7? It's going to be, which is considered the threshold for control of diabetes.
Right. Okay. So if it's below 7, then you start talking to your doctor about, okay, maybe I don't need this medication anymore, or maybe I don't need that one, or we can stop this one and see how it goes the next month, the next time I do the test. And if it's gone down still more, then going off the next medication. That would be the most reasonable thing to do, because just like the least invasive thing first. And all medicines, you have to look at every medicine as this is a toxin. I am stimulating a receptor, or I'm blocking a receptor, or I'm causing more insulin release, or I'm changing the metabolism of the body, which is what all toxins do. And of course, too much of it causes what we call toxicity. But what you don't realize is that the words are changed. When they started doing research in drugs, instead of saying toxicity of the drug, they called it side effects. But side effects is just the toxicity. That's all it is. It's exactly the same thing. So you have to look at it from that point of view. The least invasive thing means getting off the medications.
All right. Good stuff. And let us know. We want to hear. Keep us updated how you're doing. Okay. Marilyn, first time here, just got the book. Welcome, Marilyn. Butch. Oh my goodness, you guys. I got to chat with Butch. When was that? Friday? I can't remember. He is awesome. I can't wait. Well, maybe we'll be able to share some of his story. He was just such a cool guy. So I'm excited for you guys to hear from him. Velo and Barbie are on. All our friends are here. This is the best part. It's like all of our friends. I've gotten to meet so many of you guys. Okay, Krish, as claimed by manufacturers, does COQ10 ubiquinol truly protect the heart? Thank you.
Okay. Oh, that's, I didn't talk about supplements for the heart. When you make enough CoQ10, then you don't need to take any extra. So you don't need a supplement if you're making it. Here's the interesting thing though, CoQ10 is made from cholesterol. And so as you drop your cholesterol level, like taking a statin or something like that, you also drop your CoQ10 production. So you lose energy. And yes, CoQ10 protects the heart. It protects the mitochondria everywhere in the body. But this is a very important coenzyme made from cholesterol. And it's a good reason to keep your cholesterol at a normal level. And we've talked about this. So you can go back to the webinar on cholesterol. It's just like wow. So yes, CoQ10. In fact, people with congestive heart failure should take CoQ10. That would be a good idea.
Okay, good to know. Also, that cholesterol webinar is episode number 67, I believe. It's like the only one that I have memorized. I don't know why, but
I was going to say, do you have them all memorized? That's crazy.
I get so many emails about it.
Yeah.
Now that I'm saying that, I'm pretty sure it's 67. But I didn't mention this. If you guys go to Barton Webinar, there is a link to our YouTube channel where all of our webinars are. So if there's something specific that you want to maybe learn about, you can typically type that in the search on our channel and it'll bring up the webinars where we've discussed that. So, or you can message me, Leslie@bartonpublishing.com. I'll probably be able to find those. So, okay. Let's see. Grace says, welcome back to America, Joe. And Vince said, we have survived in your absence. So that's good. I'm glad he said it. So, okay. Let's see. Worth says, I saw PA Friday. He said that my A1C went from 8 to 5. Checked
Wow.
patient portal, saw that the A1C is 5.7. How am I doing? I don't see the doctor. I don't see the doctor until December 11th.
Okay, that's amazing. So that's going from uncontrolled diabetes to pre-diabetes in only a few months. That is amazing. That is really, really well done.
Yay. Okay. All right, I got to keep looking through here. All right, I did. Let's see, Timothy here. Okay, we have a question from Alan. Are all collagens created equal? And what works best with synochroma?
Okay, collagen. No, they're not all created equal, and there's an issue that I have with the absorption and the utilization of a lot of protein. So protein powders, they take proteins and they hydrolyze. Which means they cut it all up, usually in acid, and the acid hydrolyzed protein it might be okay, but it causes certain amino acids they compete for absorption against other amino acids. And so all collagens are not the same, and I just prefer the broth ones, the broth collagen. If you're going to use a powder, it's probably a better choice because they're boiled over a long period of time, the collagen in there. And so they're broken down in a different way. And so usually if you have a really good bone broth and you put it in the refrigerator, it's going to gel. And that gel is all the collagen fibers and everything. When they cool down, they form a gel like Jell-O. That's what it looks like. And so that protein's better. So personally, I wouldn't use powders because you don't really need that much. I would just have 16 ounces. I'd make my own bone broth and I would just use that. 16 ounces a day or something like that, and that'd be good.
Awesome. Okay. Let's see. Sue is on her second webinar. Welcome back. That's great. Tanya said, I'm very new, got the kit, waiting for synochroma to come. Need advice. Hopefully I don't know if you were here right away, Tanya, but we went through all of the kind of the basics of what we're doing in the diabetes solution kit. And if you know what, you can message me, Leslie at bartonpublishing.com, but everything you need to do is in this book. This is what Dr. Saunders shares with his patients in his office. And you're just getting it for a lot cheaper. So, and you don't have to submit it to insurance. So, let's see. Joe says, oh, we didn't even talk about this. And I even got the link ready to send or to share. Our Healthy Heart Support Supplement will be released very soon. It contains COQ10 and a few other things that Dr. Saunders formulated. Dun, dun, dun. Okay. I was actually going to share.
Trying to get a date on that. I think it's shipping, what's today, the 26th? I think it's shipping today, and so we should have it available by, we'll say, next week.
Okay.
So we'll maybe announce that then, but keep your eyes peeled on bartonnutrition.com.
Okay. And we'll be sure to let you guys know too. Is there anything in that or any reason that they wouldn't take that on top of the other supplements that they may already be taking from Barton Nutrition?
No.
So it's got, you want to run through the ingredients list quick, Dr. Saunders? Or I can help you if you need remembrance.
Go ahead.
L-carnitine, ashwagandha, CoQ10, beetroot extract, and olive leaf extract.
Okay, so we purposely formulated this so that you could take it with any of the other supplements. So there's a few things in there that aren't included, like magnesium and D-ribose, which might be necessary for the heart. But we had to be able to mix them and match them with others. So you can take any of the other ones and take the heart health supplement.
Awesome. Yay. Also, one more supplement that I don't need to buy outside of Barton Publishing. So this makes me happy. You guys, I've told this before, but when I first started, Dr. Saunders was teaching us about the benefits of all these things like the selenium and the chromium, which you guys find in Synachroma. And we didn't have supplements back then. So we were all buying all of our own supplements, like here's my bottle of selenium, here's my chromium, here's my vitamin D, here's my vitamin B, like now we have them here. It's so special. Okay. All right. Okay. Velo and Barbie. What should we do when the doctor says we can reduce the dosage, like metformin, but they don't want to take them off, even though we both have proven that we have reduced our numbers without taking it? The doctor was surprised that we were not taking it for as long as we have been on the program. So Velo and Barbie have been doing this solution kit. Man, what do you suppose now? How many months? 4 at best? That's probably longer. No, I bet it's not even that long.
I think it's longer than that. Probably close to 6 now.
Oh, is it really? Wow, time's going real fast.
I think so.
Really?
Yeah.
Could be. Who knows?
That's my
Feels
guess.
like yesterday.
It's October.
They'll tell us.
It's April, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, all right. But they had amazing, they did all the work. They did what the book said. Yep, almost 6 months. They did all the work, they followed it to a T and just had wild success. And so now he's saying, what do we do now? Our numbers are great, etc., but our doctor doesn't want us to stop taking the medicine, to stop taking metformin.
Okay.
I got an idea. Get a new doctor.
Not a bad idea, Joe. So this is a difficult thing, and part of it is because in medical school we are not taught how to get people off of medications. In fact, in just about every case, when a doctor hands you a prescription for a medication, they'll say, here, you're going to take this for the rest of your life. And so even when it doesn't work, they will just give you another one to take on top of it. So I have people with 4 and 5 blood pressure medications because the first one didn't work. They added on a second one, that didn't work. They added on a third one, that didn't work. They added on a fourth one, that didn't work. So they added on a fifth one and finally it worked. But what about all the other ones that didn't work? Well, they're still taking all of those. So they end up taking all of them because no doctor knows how to get anybody off a medication that they've started on, because we're not taught that. So some doctors learn about that, but most doctors, if they do, it's on their own. So the question is, what do you do? Well, if you understand where the doctor's coming from, going, I don't know if I can even ever get anybody off, because I always tell people they're on it for life. Then you can take Joe's advice. Several of my patients have just decided, well, we'll just put it to the side and just stop taking it and see how things go. And so some of my patients have done that. I don't know, or you can just do what the doctor says and just decrease it instead of going off it.
And there are some really good doctors who probably are just nervous for you. They don't want you to stop because they don't want your numbers to go back up. You know what I mean? So some of them have your best interest at heart. Some may not. Is that okay for me to say? All right. Okay, Robert, I purchased the kit and I have Synachroma on the way. Cutting out the bread and starch foods. Excited to get going. Yay! Robert, you got this. You've got this. Keep us updated. Hop on each week if you're able to. Let us know how you're doing. You've already done the hard part. You've already taken the initial steps. So awesome. Let's see. How does the doctor feel about monk fruit?
That's so funny. I had a patient come in today with that very issue. What about monk fruit? And so we spent a lot of time talking about sweeteners and the fact that the sweet taste causes a release of insulin. And some people have much more of a reaction from a sweet taste releasing insulin than other people do. So not everybody's the same, and it's not going to affect everybody the same way. So some people can eat monk fruit and have no problem with it. But other people are going to find their blood sugar gets elevated, their insulin gets elevated, they're putting on weight, and they're like, what the heck? Why am I putting on weight? I'm not eating any carbs. I'm not eating anything. I'm like on a zero carb diet. I actually had somebody who was just drinking broth. She wasn't eating anything. And after 2 weeks, she comes in and she goes, oh, I'm so excited. And she only lost 4 pounds and she was in tears. She was literally like crying. And I'm like, I felt, and I'm like, well, what are you eating? She said, nothing. I'm just drinking broth. And I thought it would work. And she was really upset. And so I started, okay, what else are you drinking? Well, I have some tea. What do you put in the tea? Oh, just a few drops of stevia. And I'm like, that's your problem right there. And so she went off the stevia and she started losing weight a pound a day, just like I had told her before. So you have to be really careful with all the sweeteners, including monk fruit, stevia, coconut sugar, agave nectar, all those things that are supposedly good for you, and low carb sweeteners like the fructose, low carb sweetener. That causes fatty liver. So, you're better off just avoiding the taste of sweet.
All right. Another reminder, if you go to bartonwebinar.com, you'll have our list of top 10 most asked questions. You'll find some really good responses from Dr. Saunders about questions that you may have. Okay, Grace says, this calendar year I have developed an itchy rash all over my body, including my hands and legs. Earlier this year, I started taking benfotiamine and alpha-lipoic acid, the ingredients in Nervala. And I'm wondering if my skin is reacting to the increased sensitivity or increased blood flow.
Okay. Gosh, if it's on the hands, especially if it's on the palms, it's not usually a reaction, allergic reaction. That's usually like a virus called a viral exanthem. So I would look into that and say, I don't know if you had a virus, or there are certain types of things like pityriasis and various viral exanthems that can show up. And they can last for weeks or even months. Pityriasis rosea can last for 6 months sometimes. So, so just it was the hands and feet thing that got me, that you're probably not reacting to something you're taking, that we're probably talking about an exanthem, which is really it starts from an infectious disease and not from an allergy.
Okay. Roy says, I have low testosterone and I've been on a gel for years. And now my PSA numbers have gone up recently. So my doctor has taken me off the testosterone medication. Now I've noticed that my energy has gone way down. This made me wonder how this will affect my pre-diabetes. And is there a natural way to recover my energy level and bring it back up?
Okay, now for all of you out there with testosterone, this is a complex subject. It's not like oh, if you have this problem, you just get testosterone and everything's okay, because in the body, testosterone is made into estrogen, and that's primarily in the belly fat. And if you have more belly fat, you convert more testosterone into estrogen, so your balance is off. And so I don't know what yours is, but I'm just saying the problem is not testosterone. So many years ago, in the 1960s, there was somebody doing research on prostate cancer, said and printed this, that testosterone is fertilizer for prostate cancer. And so then that always became the mantra, and everybody said that, and everybody keeps saying that. But in other research, they're scratching their heads going, it doesn't really work that way. But nobody knows exactly how it works. So it seems like that it's not the testosterone, it's when you're converting the testosterone to estrogen and you throw your estrogen high over your testosterone. So then you take a gel, and what do? You don't get more testosterone to balance it. What happens is you convert that into estrogen and you go like this. And so now you've just raised your estrogen levels even more. And so it's reasonable, perfectly reasonable, to go off the testosterone, because that can be made into estrogen. So what do I do about it is a good question. So first of all, what I would recommend is do the program. Just do it, and get your insulin resistance down, get your belly fat down, and then you can add in something called DHEA, which is an androgen that's made into testosterone and can be made into estrogen if you have a lot of belly fat. But if you get rid of the belly fat, okay, then that should be okay. And then you also make sure you eat a lot of cruciferous vegetables every day. Cruciferous vegetables has something called indole-3 carbinol and chrysin. And what those do is they allow you to make testosterone without converting it into estrogen. They kind of inhibit the enzyme that does that conversion. Kind of meaning it's not like an inhibitor, but it slows it down, like slows down the process. So you have this. It's a complex system. So I think it's perfectly reasonable the doctor took you off testosterone, but just remember that's not the problem. That's the intermediate problem. It's not the beginning. It's not the end. It's the intermediate. So getting your estrogen levels down is really the key.
Okay. Martha says, what have you learned about the benefits of taking metformin for other conditions such as cancer or for health maintenance?
Okay, so there's a lot of research being done on metformin right now for other purposes. So most of this is coming out of the anti-aging. How do you prevent aging? And one of the things metformin does is it blocks the mitochondria from using sugar and so it increases what's called cyclic AMP, and that tells the body, oh, we need to burn fat for energy. So it starts your fat burning metabolism. And so when you start burning fat, then you make ketones. Ketones help your brain to function better because they cross the blood-brain barrier and they can be used by the brain for energy. And it's a low octane fuel, so it doesn't make a bunch of oxygen-free radicals. Gosh, are you catching all this? Am I going too fast? Leslie, are you okay?
I'm typing actually to someone while you're talking. So.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So the point of metformin is it's doing something, and what it's doing can be helpful. And because it blocks sugar, it also slows down cancer, and it can even reverse cancer or stop cancer. And there's a lot of research on that because cancer requires sugar for energy. But of all the research, really what metformin is doing is it can be done better by fasting. For example, you increase your cyclic AMP, you burn fat, you get the ketones, all the benefits plus 100 more benefits can happen if you fast periodically and burn fat for energy.
Mm-hmm. All right. Okay. Mary says, my friend, we're running out of time. We have so many questions. Okay. My friend is type 2 diabetic. She's taking gabapentin twice a day, berberine as needed, Ozempic once a week. She had been using glipizide before she got on Ozempic by her diabetic doctor. Now her blood glucose is from 150 to insulin. It had been 95 to 170 and sometimes above 200, checking it twice a day. Her doctor will not give her the prescription for it says glipizine, but I'm wondering if it's glipizide.
Glipizide, yeah.
Okay. What should she do? Should she be trying to doctor herself? Is she trying to doctor herself with natural meds? She's a diabetic for 25 years and not on insulin.
Okay. The first thing to do is to do the program. Do the detox, clean out your cells, cleanse all that excess sugar out, get rid of all that, and then you can decide what might be more useful or not. Because at that point, if you cleanse the sugar out, if you're getting and your insulin resistance is going down, then Ozempic would work better, first of all, and the glipizide for that matter. Glipizide also causes you to make more insulin. Ozempic is an injection, makes you make more insulin. Either way, you're making more insulin. And that causes more insulin resistance. So you're still better off, instead of the medications, you're better off doing the diet. So as far as doctoring yourself, if you're not your own doctor, you have a fool for a doctor.
That's good. Okay. I'm going to ask a question. Actually, I was able to chat with Juliet last night. Actually, I think that last night it was. She was just awesome. So she was so funny. She was frustrated because she's only lost 40 pounds.
40. Is that all?
No, and I don't want to dismiss that, but she was just expecting more. So because she had started in April, she's lost 40 pounds, which is amazing. She said her blood pressure is lower. She started at 85. Her insulin was at 85. It's dropped down to 40.
Wow. That's
She
great.
said great success. And then there was about a month, I think even a month ago, where there was some stress in her life. Now she's at a good place again. And she feels like she's kind of stalled. And so I said I would chat with you a little bit about, what do you recommend for people when they get to that point where they kind of feel like they're not where they want to be? What are some things to check? I will tell you, we chatted about sweeteners, dairy, gluten. And then one interesting thing we thought about was, are we eating enough? And so we're looking for some ideas from you.
Okay. Are you eating enough? Well, getting enough nutrients, that's important. And avoiding the sweeteners, that kind of thing. So when you reach a plateau, consider this, consider the way biological systems work in kind of cycles. And you, if you open up the cycle, then you see, like when you're looking at children, the way they grow up. And we have a growth chart. And if you look on the growth chart, there's a line that goes like this, right? It goes straight up. But the way children really grow is in a stair-step pattern. They're not growing, then they grow like crazy, then they're not growing, and they grow like crazy. And while they're not growing, they won't eat anything. And the parents bring their kids to the doctor and say, he won't eat anything. And you check in the growth chart, well, he's just fine on his growth chart. No, I'm serious. Like, he won't eat anything. Like, all day long he goes without eating anything. And it's because he's not growing, and they don't eat. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, like they're growing and they're saying, I'm hungry. You just had dinner. I'm hungry. I just gave you another snack. I'm still hungry. That's during a growth spurt. And so the stair step pattern is the way we also lose weight, improve our function of anything. I mean, if you look at the dysfunction, the opposite end of the scale. I was working in a nursing home for many years, and people are going along, they're just fine, everything's good, and they have a fall. Boom. Now they're at this level, and then they're going along for a long time, and then they get sick, they get pneumonia. Boom, they're at this level now, and the stair step pattern of decline happens too. Well, when you're losing weight, it's normal to have plateaus. Don't think that you're going to go and lose it all at once. I have had people do that, but they're like fasting for 30 days. You know, they're like doing kind of extreme stuff. So if you have a plateau, be okay with that for a little while, and then go, okay, I'm going to start back on the phase one. I'm going to go back to phase one, and I'm just going to do 20 grams carbohydrates, and I'm going to count them, and I'm going to be really careful about them. I'm not going to have any artificial sweeteners, and then watch it go down again, and then it'll plateau again, and then you'll do the same thing and just be okay with it for a little while, and then go down. And that's a much better way to maintain your function, rather than what a lot of people do is they get to the plateau and they go, oh crap, well, it's not working anymore, I might as well just gain it all back. Gain it all back.
Yeah.
So that's a better way to do it.
Okay, great. Let's see, someone had Roy, this is great. He said, I used to weigh 355 pounds, and this was in January of 2021.
Wow.
Since starting the kit, I'm now down to 291 pounds this morning.
Wow.
Yes. So
Wow.
now I'm trying to figure out what direction to go to get my energy back up.
Okay. Burning fat for energy. Exercise is the most important thing you can do when you've lost that much weight, and you're not having any carbs to burn. Then the energy. Remember, fat's a low octane fuel. It's not like the quick burning energy. They used to call raisins the fastest energy in the West. That the sugar, raisins are just little bags of sugar. It's not fast energy. So how do you get your energy back? Exercise. That would be the best thing.
Alan is wondering if there are any supplements that can replace the blood thinner Eliquis.
Yeah. No, there aren't, and you should talk to your doctor. I don't know why you're on Eliquis, but there's sometimes a good reason to be on it and not to go off it. I've seen people who just quit taking it and they have atrial fibrillation and they end up with a stroke or something like that. So So be careful in going off Eliquis. There's a book called Reverse Heart Disease Now by Stephen Sinatra, MD. And that book, he's a cardiologist, and he talks about what you can do differently if you have atrial fibrillation, how you can fix that, first of all. And then second of all, hey, this is our heart, right? We're talking about the heart. Reverse Heart Disease Now. Stephen Sinatra is the author. And he talks about what things you can use, like nattokinase and lumbrokinase, which are enzymes that break down clots. So that would be a good resource for you to see if that applies to you.
Okay. Jonathan is asking about brain health supplements. The book gives some general guidelines, but would like some recommendations.
Okay. Yeah. The brain health supplements, I've seen those books. If you're looking at like reverse Alzheimer's disease, those kinds of things, the list of brain health supplements are very long, and they're general recommendations for everybody. So you don't need a brain health supplement. What you need is to get energy to your brain properly. And so as long as you have vitamin B12, vitamin B9, those are the methylation ones, which is folic acid. Vitamin B6 is really important. And especially for women, they have a common deficiency, vitamin B6. A lot of things like birth control pills, for example, inhibit vitamin B6. And so you need extra if you're going to take that. And then the benfotiamine alpha lipoic acid, which is Nervala, to help that. That's kind of a basic supplement to get the energy in, but do the program, because the primary problem, like Alzheimer's disease of the brain, type 3 diabetes, is due to not getting enough sugar past the blood-brain barrier, because the blood sugar is too high for such a long period of time. You got to get the blood sugar down. So doing phase 1 of the program is the most important thing you can do.
Awesome. And Juliet is on, the one that was
Real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
Say goodbye. I got to hop off, but good to see you guys again, as always. And we had a full, over 100 people on today. That's awesome. That's the most I've ever seen. So just want to say goodbye. Thanks. Good job, everyone.
Bye,
Bye, Joe. Thanks for hopping on. Okay. So Juliet, the one that I was talking about, who had kind of stalled for a little bit, she's on. Hello, Juliet. She's wondering, okay, there were a couple of other things that she uses. She's doing the diabetes solution kit, but she's also using the Okinawa flat belly tonic. I don't know if you're familiar with that, or Viva Slim, or Reverserol supplements. And she's kind of wondering if she should be using those. So any ideas if you are familiar with any of them?
They're okay. But most of them, the slimming ones, I don't know about these specifically, but be careful with the slimming ones. They're almost all caffeine. And they have some kind of methylxanthine in them that is like caffeine or tea extracts, or stuff like that. And they're not a good long-term solution. The long-term solution is changing. And change the way you eat, change the things you eat, change how much you eat, change when you eat, what you eat, when you eat, how much you eat. That's what works. And any other thing that you do, if you think like the supplements, like even the BART nutrition supplements, that's not why we made them. We made the supplements because I was telling Joe, look, I'm testing thousands of people, and I'm seeing chromium deficiency is very common. Selenium deficiency is very common. Vitamin D deficiency is very common. And he said, well, let's put together a supplement so we could have that. And that's all it is. It's just what you're likely to be deficient in. I don't know. I've never tested everybody, but You know what? It's not bad to have them anyway, because they're very common deficiencies. So these other things that are saying, oh, if you take this, you can eat anything you want and burn fat. That's crap. That's not even true. And don't even go there. So I think that okay, fine, take those. But if you don't do the program, it's probably not going to be a long-term solution anyway.
All right. All right. I know you need to go be with patients. Let's see. Barbie and Vila said, as maintenance, they go back and forth between phase 1 and phase 3 with the program, just so you guys know. Okay, I think we have one question left. I'm going to quick ask it. Chris says, well, currently patented glue. Okay, I shouldn't have asked it because now I have to pronounce words. Chris always gives me the big words. All right. Glumetza appears to be working better than a long-acting generic metformin. A friend told me about this. He's not on Cinechroma yet. Is there a reason for this potency variation?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. I think we got them all. I think I got most of the questions. If not, we'll be back next week. Thank you, Dr. Saunders. We sure appreciate you. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. And I'll just quick review a couple things, guys. The Diabetes Solution Kit, actually all of our supplements and all of our supplements you can find at bartonnutrition.com. There is a code for 25% off. So if you use code webinar25, that will give you 25% off. Okay. And then if you want more information about the webinars or a link to YouTube, etc., Barton Webinar is a really good place to go. That is also where those top 10 questions are, just some other good information. So if you have a friend that you want to share this webinar with, send them the Barton webinar link. They can sign up on their own there so that they can get the reminders about the webinars. And I just think, where else can you get this kind of information at no cost, right? And you can ask Dr. Saunders questions, and it's just amazing. It's such a benefit. So if you have someone who could really benefit from this, definitely send them bartonwebinar.com. Okay. Oh, you guys are awesome. I will see all of you next week. Take care, do the work, and let us know how you feel when we chat next week. Bye-bye.